Good afternoon. This is Jim Whitehead of All Power Group and Phoenix Animal. Today we're going to talk, and this is my second time here today. Thank goodness. It's like when you get to be my age, every day, every afternoon is like a gift. So anyway, thank you for being here. Okay, we had some technical difficulties for the last 10 minutes. You know, it's bottom line, you got to fix it. So anyway, today we're going to talk about Pitcairn Island. We're going to talk about some of the history, and most of you will know some of the history, and some of the animals that are on this pretty South Pacific island. Okay, Pitcairn Island, a remote volcanic island in the South Pacific, has a limited range of animal life due to its isolation, and I'll tell you about this isolation in a minute, and small size. That fits too. However, its unique location provides a habitat for a variety of birds, marine life, and introduced species, while the island is not home to a large land animals. Its wildlife includes some interesting native and introduced species. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the early history. And, you know, I know there's been more than one HMS Bounty movie, but the one that I really, and I guess fit my age, and the point of 1789, Pitcairn Island's most famous chapter began with the mutiny on the HMS Bounty in 1789. Now, this is real. The Bounty was a British ship sent to Tahiti to collect breadfruit plants to transplant in the Caribbean as food for their enslaved workers. Under the command of Lieutenant William Bligh. We all kind of sometimes say, oh, he's just like Captain Bligh. Anyway, the ship set sail from Tahiti, but he was a real kind of a mean captain. And, you know, I've managed people over the years, and the minute you get mean, well, guess what? You're going to have some problems. And I don't mean because somebody does something really wrong. It's just you're a mean person. So be good to everybody that you can be, and you got to certainly have it where people that don't do the job for you, there's going to be some choices. The tensions between Bligh and his crew reached a breaking point, and on April 28th, 1979, Fletcher Christian, the ship's master mate, led a mutiny against the Bligh. Christian, along with 18 other mutineers, seized the control of the Bounty and set Bligh and 18 of his loyalists adrift in a small boat. Now, I know when they did it, and you know, you can't get in the mind of everybody, but the problem is Bligh was determined. Bligh miraculously navigated to safety, but the mutineers were now fugitives. So, you know, the point was, I'm sure they expected when they shoved old Bligh and his people that were his people, they never thought that he probably would ever make it to anywhere to survive, and they would kind of get off scot-free. Well, this captain was, I guess, a good navigator, and he basically got back to civilization and got back to England. And, of course, they were now fugitives, and they were going to be hunted. The good news is Pitcairn Island, and this is why the mutineers chose it was small. It wasn't on charts at the time. So they certainly felt that they found an island that they could live on and that they wouldn't be found. They had taken some Tahiti. Well, they didn't take them. They kind of loved the ladies, and they asked so many of them to come along and be with the men. So they sailed away from Tahiti, and they found Pitcairn Island, and that's where they found that they were going to live. Now, talking about some of the animals there, and this is present day, and I just felt I didn't want to talk about the island without giving some of the famous history. Okay, talking about birds, the Pitcairn Island is part of the Pitcairn Island group, which is an important area for seabirds. Several species of birds either live on or visit the island regularly. The one that I wanted to highlight was the Pitcairn reed warbler, which is also known as a sparrow. This is the only land bird native to Pitcairn Island, and is considered an endangered species. This is what I always find, that this endangered issue, we don't want anybody to be endangered in the animal world. It is a small brown songbird that builds nests in the island's trees and shrubs. Okay, the next one is the red-tailed tropic bird. This striking bird has long red tail feathers and is often seen soaring around the island. I even envy some of the animals that are and where they are. And the island is beautiful, relatively, I would say, clean environment, clean air, and certainly not like some of our cities and so on and so forth. Now, moving to marine life, Pitcairn Island is surrounded by pristine waters, making it a haven for marine species. The waters around the island are part of one of the largest marine reserves in the world. This is cool, protecting abundance of sea life. So first of all, and again, I didn't do all of them because again, I want you to be able to go home today. Anyway, the first one is the dolphin, and we love dolphins. If anybody says, I'm not saying they have, I don't like dolphins, well, there's something wrong probably with that person, because dolphins won't hurt you. They're smart, and they've actually saved people. So there's nothing we would say that, well, it depends on the species. Some attack people, some don't. No, dolphins are great, smart. And I don't know, some of you are too young for this, but there was what we call Flipper, which was a great show in, I don't know, over the 70s. I actually did a presentation on it. But anyway, what you're looking at is the spinner dolphin, Stenonella longicitris. I shouldn't say some of these things because I don't know why, but it just doesn't work real well. They are frequently seen in the waters around Pitcairn. Hey, why not? Okay, sharks. Ooh, the Marine Reserve helps protect several species of sharks, including reef sharks and occasionally larger species. And this is going to be a tiger shark that you're looking at. And you can guess why they call it a tiger shark, because it has stripes. Anyway, I don't know if the poor tiger shark is upset that it's named that way, but, well, I can't do anything about it right now. Anyway, that's the tiger shark. Several animals were introduced to Pitcairn over the years, mostly by the mutineers of the HMS Bounty and later settlers. Some of these species have become part of the island's ecosystem, while others have had a more harmful impact on native species. You know, it's like anything. You got to make sure you get the right animals working with the right animals. So anyway, the first one we're going to talk about is the goat. Originally introduced by settlers, goats have been kept on the island, and I don't like to even say this, but for their meat. I don't like that, but I can't say too much because we recognize this is an island in the middle of nowhere, generally speaking, and the people on the island have to survive. So I guess I get okay with that as long as it's just not where I'm just going to go along and do some shooting for an animal killing just for fun. So we'll let this pass. Now, we have marine mammals, although not resident on the island. And then when they say on the island, I'm not sure exactly how they even mean that. But various species of marine mammals, including the humpback whales. By the way, when I was in high school, my nickname was called Humper. I'm sorry I brought that up. I hadn't thought about that until I'm talking about humpback whales. Maybe we'll do a presentation on that. I even had my guidance counselor call me in and go, Jim, why do they call you Humper? Humper. And I'd say, I made up some stupid excuse, and I don't know what else to say, but I had that nickname for a long time, even when I went to college. But anyway, humpback whales migrate through the waters surrounding Pitcairn. These whales are occasionally seen near the island during their seasonal migrations. Now, like with all we talk about, whatever I talk about, conservation. And yes, when I did the presentation a day or so ago on Siberia, it's so cold there, a lot of people don't even go there or even have an opportunity, thank goodness, to really go after animals. So that was something that was kind of a clean presentation, if I can say it that way. But their conservation efforts, due to the small size of Pitcairn and its fragile ecosystem, there are ongoing conservation efforts aimed at protecting its native species, especially the endangered Pitcairn reed warbler that I showed you a little bit ago, and its marine diversity. Pitcairn Island Marine Reserve. And again, thank goodness, national parks, marine reserves, you name it, is such a tribute to us living here and hopefully living with the animals, but making sure that we take care of them. This marine reserve was established in 2015, and it covers the waters around Pitcairn and helps preserve its rich marine life from overfishing and pollution. Now, as I said earlier, there's probably not a lot of pollution, but you have to make sure you don't hurt any of the animals. While the island may not host a vast array of animals compared to larger island masses, its remote and untouched environment provides an important refuge for species that do call it home. And please, we all want to have a home and we all want to be safe. So that's about it. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Anyway, thank you very, very much for being here. And this was my second presentation of the day. And I'm a little behind schedule because I was having some technical difficulties. You know, that's why I have backup to backup to backup, because I got to do these. And I love doing it. And I hope you enjoy some of them too. And please subscribe and like. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for being here. And as usual, thank you, thank you, thank you. And have a good night. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very, very much again. Take care.